Whenever people ask me about you specifically, they're always like, she's what? She's building a house out of hemp and hempcrete?
When 100 years from now, my walls will be stronger than when I built them. I'll be able to leave this house behind for my kids, for my grandkids, for my great-grandkids.
I just think it's funny that you have a recipe book for building your house. You're making your own hempcrete?
Yes. Yes, we make everything on site.
We live in Canada, so we need 87-inch walls, people. Yeah. I have so many questions. Welcome back to another video at Reveal Cannabis. I'm Andrea Maharg, and I'm a cannabis coach and educator. And on this channel, I like to teach you all the fun things that I'm learning about cannabis. Normally, it's like really nerdy cannabis science stuff because that's where I tend to head. But today's interview is super special because you're going to learn about something new and interesting. Me too. We're going to learn about hemp building materials like Hempcrete and hemp homes from a person who's actually building a hemp home right now. And she's going to give you some resources. So if this is something you want to get really nerdy about, you can do that as well. But before we dive in, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by the Cannabis Coaching Institute. If you love talking to people about cannabis and you want to turn that into a profitable side hustle or even a career, head to cannabiscoachinginstitute.com and check out the programs we offer there. So we're going to learn all about Hempcrete today from award-winning cannabis educator, Shawnaa Dunbar. Can you please introduce yourself?
Awesome. Thanks, Andrea. I'm pretty excited to talk about Hempcrete because I think it's just like some of the coolest stuff. My name is Shawnaa Dunbar. I am a certified cannabis educator. I have my own consulting business called Wild Iris that I run out of the Quebec Laurentians. Working one-on-one with patients. And I'm also the executive director of Educanation, Cannabis Education, which is a nonprofit organization devoted to providing the highest standard of cannabis education across our great nation.
And you love nerdy cannabis stuff too. This is some of the things that we bond over is this, but you're doing something in a totally different cannabis lane. So you are right now building a house out of hempcrete. So tell us what it means to be a hemp home builder.
Well, I guess the short of it is that my husband and I both have combined skill sets that led us to believe that we could potentially build ourselves a healthy, multi-generational, solar-powered hempcrete home with an attached greenhouse. And the whole idea really is that we wanted to build something that would allow us to live more independently, to lower our very rapidly growing costs of living right now. And really to serve our family for future generations. My husband and I are not big money makers. It's not a focus in our lives, but sustainability is. And, you know, we really want to be able to have something to leave behind for our kids. So that's why we decided to build our home out of hempcrete. We wanted to, I've actually lived here in Morin Heights for 23 years. My husband, his family, they've all been here for their entire lives. So there's many generations here and it's changing a little bit. Lots of people are coming up. And so we decided we just kind of wanted a space that was a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more land that we could live off sort of to create a homestead. So, you know, with really keeping in mind our immediate environment and our greater environment as well, our impacts on that as builders, as well as the impacts of the material on our health or the materials that we use. I don't know if you know, but the average house built to code today only lasts for 40 years before it starts to disintegrate, have mold issues, moisture issues. And this is because of the way that we build. It's because of the materials that we use and the choices that we make. And we have this kind of, I don't know, sort of disposable attitudes lately. You know, everything's disposable, right? Including our homes. And we know that that has a really huge impact on the environment and on our health as well. So yeah, that's kind of what led us to decide to build a hempcrete home. We looked at Oh, we looked at adobe, we looked at straw bale, we looked at rammed earth, we looked at all sorts of ways of building naturally, where we could use natural products that would be healthy for us and wouldn't have such a huge impact on the environment. But between the cost or the margins for error, a lot of those methods just really didn't seem appealing to us. So we decided to, just keep researching and researching and researching, and we came across Hempcrete, which is really pretty freaking cool.
So tell us about it. Why is Hempcrete so cool?
Well, let's just start with the cannabis plant itself, right? Hemp is a form of cannabis, and we know that cannabis has been used for thousands of years by humans for whether it's for fiber or for food. Or for medicine as we know it.
Why is Hempcrete such an improvement over concrete? Like, what's the difference here?
Well, let's start with what concrete is. So concrete is actually a mixture of sand and rocks and cement and water. And you can shape it into just about whatever you want. And as it firms up, it becomes super, super strong. It also offers some thermal insulation as well as some sound insulation, right? A big, thick concrete wall, we know we don't get great cell service, these sorts of things, right? And concrete was really an amazing innovation that's been around for thousands of years. There are buildings that have been built thousands of years ago that are still standing out of concrete, so that we know that it's, a really strong product. The problem with concrete is the impact on the environment. So in that mix, cement is a mixture of lime and clay that's been fired to a super high temperature. So you've got that firing process that has an impact. And of course, these are all natural materials, right? Concrete's made out of natural materials that we can mine, but they're not endless supplies. We're using them up. Concrete, from what I understand, the CO2 impact on the environment accounts for 8% globally. And
wow.
Concrete uses up 10% of our global water supply. So those are, some pretty big impacts. When 8% maybe doesn't sound like a big number, but when you think of that as on a global scale, it's pretty big.
And it's my understanding that we also actually have a shortage of sand. So
Yes.
if concrete's made out of sand, like we're actually using non-renewable resources, it looks like. Okay.
Exactly. So concrete, unfortunately, shares some impacts as well, because it is also using lime as a binder. So that's mined. And while lime is actually, in the long term, like really, really long term, it's renewable. Our sources of lime do sort of build up over time, but it's such a slow process that we can't consider it a renewable material right now. So that's sort of like the disadvantage of hempcrete. I have seen that recently someone just is doing some tests using a magnesium product that seems to be more renewable. But for the moment, we use lime. So that has an impact on the environment. But the good side of hempcrete kind of made up for all of that. So hempcrete is made with lime and a pozzolan. A pozzolan is like a binding agent. It could be red clay dust. It's a material that just kind of helps everything stick together. We're using in our mix a hydrated lime in combination with a pozzolan that is a silica. And that just helps sort of stick it all together.
You're making your own hempcrete?
Yes. Yes, we make everything on site. Yeah, and I can send you some little video clips so that you can see the process of it. It's literally just mixed up together like you would mix cement, not in a cement mixer though. Because it's a very lightweight mix, it needs to sort of be tumbled this way as opposed to this way. Maybe seems silly, but so we have a top loader mixer that's often used for mortar mixing, actually. But the other main ingredient of hempcrete is the hemp hurd. It's the hemp aspect of it. So the hurd is the center stalk of the hemp or cannabis plant. It's the woody stalk on the inside. If you've ever grown it, you know that when you cut it down, it's got that woody core to it, which sometimes actually looks hollow. Its job in the plant is to manage moisture. It's as simple as that. If the roots need more moisture, well, it's going to draw down. into the roots. If the leaves or the flowers need more moisture, well, the herd is going to pull that up to the flowers, to the leaves. And the really cool thing is that even after it's dead and chopped up into little pieces, which is what we use in the Hempcrete, it still performs the same way. So a Hempcrete wall is almost like, it's not alive, but it sort of performs like a living wall. So it will draw, let's say it's super dry in the house and it's super humid outside. It's going to draw moisture from outside to the inside and vice versa. So it manages moisture. Today's building code requires us, if we have a contractor coming in, they're going to have to use this plastic vapor barrier on the outside of your house. You've seen it, Tyvek or whatever. It performs, it helps create a barrier between moisture outside from coming into your home, but it doesn't perform forever. And we do end up with these problems. Hempcrete's going to perform for its entire life. It's always going to manage that moisture. It also manages air. So it's a permeable surface. It's not a waterproof surface. It breathes. It's going to breathe air and it's going to breathe moisture. So your indoor humidity levels will generally always be perfect. And your indoor air quality is also going to be very high because of that lime ingredient in the Hempcrete. So lime is very hygienic. Mold doesn't grow on it. Bugs don't like it. It's a great product to be finishing with. So you're not going to have, like in a regular home that has like polystyrene insulation, you're eventually going to have mold issues because moisture is going to find it. Water is incredible. It can get in anywhere. And so you're going to, in about 40 years, have some moisture issues. You should never have moisture issues with a Hempcrete wall.
I have so many questions. So you're building the outside of your house with Hempcrete and maybe even interior walls, or no?
I don't think we're going to go for, unless we have leftovers, like if we have too much because of the cost of it.
Okay. So you're building the exterior of your house in Hempcrete that you are mixing yourself, and that Hempcrete is going to allow humidity to kind of like move in and out. Why isn't that going to be a problem? And how come your house isn't going to be as cold as it is outside or as warm as it is outside?
So Hempcrete has thermal value as well, just like concrete, but a lot more thermal value. And the reason for that is because the little pieces of hemp hurd that get coated in the lime and the pozzolan, and then you add some water in, they stick together, right? And they form there's these tiny little air pockets that happen, which is any good insulation. A foam insulation is a good insulation because it has little tiny air pockets, and that's what gives us that insulation value. So the way we're building it, and maybe I can just show you my little sample here. This was when I first started. I did this one by hand. So what you can see is, can you see the little holes and stuff in there, all the little hurd?
Yeah.
And then you see in the middle how there's like those would be your posts, right? So a Hempcrete home gets built exactly the same way as a stick frame house. So our standard conventional building practices, you're building your Hempcrete home the same way. It has to start with a wood frame. And then what happens is your studs go this way, right? We add in some 45s on there. That's just to prevent the shear. So that's the sideways movement of a wall. So those 45s just kind of act like an extra brace because there's a bit of extra weight that comes with Hempcrete. It's a bit heavier than, a foam is like super, super light. It's not as heavy as concrete, but there's extra weight there.
Does this mean you don't have to insulate your house?
This is the insulation.
This is the insulation and the building material?
It is not considered structural at this point. You might see a lot of people will say, oh, Hempcrete's stronger than concrete. I think in the future, we're going to have structural applications of Hempcrete, but we haven't tested it enough up until this point. So our foundation is built out of concrete. We have to do that because code tells us it has to be out of concrete. So it really, the Hempcrete is just the insulation. It's as simple as that. So we have our formwork or our framing of the house that's built. The way we've chosen to do it is to bury those studs within the middle of the wall. So it's a 12-inch wall. You choose the width of your Hempcrete is based on your climate.
Right. And we live in Canada, so we need 87-inch walls, people.
Yeah. So Hempcrete performs at about somewhere between like 2 and 5 on the R scale. So R value 2 to 5, which is pretty standard. That's per inch. So in order to get the R value in our walls that we need to code, we need a 12-inch wall. So the studs get buried in the middle. Then we put this formwork on to make this 12-inch space. And that's done in 2-foot sections.
Right.
The formwork gets attached. We made these little spacers out of PEX piping for plumbing so that we can put a screw into the formwork or into the frame to hold the formwork in place. So we have 2 inches of Hempcrete that sit on the outside, and then we have 4 inches that sit on the inside. And of course, the 6-inch studs, right? So you have a total of 12 inches. You mix it in the mixer. Once it's mixed, we pour it into these little buckets. We bring them along, we dump them in, and we tamp them down by hand with a little stick that has a little piece of 2x4 at the bottom of it. That's your specialty tool for Hempcrete. And you just tamp it down around the outside edges into that formwork. And you go round and round and round and round and round and round and round the building, moving the formwork up as you go. And pretty much when you've finished a 2-foot section, it's going to be cured enough that you can move the formwork up and it's going to hold its shape. As it dries, and here's the really cool part about Hempcrete. Remember before I said like, maybe it has these impacts on the environment because of the lime that's used, but hemp hurd itself, because of how it performs and what it is, actually allows you to sequester carbon in your walls. So you're now coming into the minuses because you're using that hurd. And then lime, as it dries, the chemical process actually pulls CO2 out of the environment as well in order to harden up. So your wall is not just performing, managing moisture, which is always an issue in buildings, and keeping your air quality great and providing this wonderful insulation, it's also sequestering carbon. So even though we're having this negative impact on the environment by using lime and transporting materials and things like that, by the time we're done this project, our carbon footprint, which is how we measure our impact on the environment, should be in the minuses. So that's pretty cool. And again, in that process of curing and drawing that CO2, the lime makes the Hempcrete become harder and harder and harder. So in 100 years from now, my walls will be stronger than when I build them, which is what gives it that longevity, right? Why I know that I'll be able to leave this house behind for my kids, for my grandkids, for my great-grandkids. It should be standing in years to come unless someone decides to demolish it, at which point the hurd and the lime will be great for your gardens. So
what? You can just compost your hemp house when you're done with it?
Yeah.
I am so embarrassed. I'm never going to tell you what I had planned in my head when you told me you were building a hemp house. It was not you going around and hand mixing stuff and pouring it into 2-foot sections, and the sections you've handmade yourself. Like you are making a hemp house.
Oh, yeah, we were literally doing everything with our own 2 hands. And it's very laborious, the process that we've decided to do to the formwork. You can get Hempcrete in blocks. There are companies that are now making blocks, and they look like Lego blocks. And the center pieces that the Lego blocks click onto each other, from what I can tell, most companies are using soy-based plastics and moving into even using hemp-based plastics for that, or using wood, something that is environmentally friendly and sustainable. So there are options. We chose to do it this way because of the benefits. So because our studs are buried in the middle of the wall, there's no thermal bridging. So thermal bridging, a good example is in the wintertime, if you ever notice on someone's roof that they may have like lines in the snow, like it doesn't go flat across, you see these ridges. That's because of the trusses where they're touching the roof, they're causing heat to bridge from one side to the other. So burying your studs in the middle of the wall makes for no thermal bridging. So our envelope of our building is going to be, you know, really great. We shouldn't have major air leakage. We should have like a just really awesome insulation. Some people build it so that they have like a double wall frame, so that the Hempcrete sits in the middle and you have studs that you can attach cladding to. So let's say you wanted to clad the outside of your house with wood or aluminum siding or something, you'd have something to attach it to. Same thing on the inside. What we're doing is we're parging. So we are finishing our Hempcrete with lime plaster, which kind of seals it off, but the plaster still breathes. So I'm not blocking off that permeability of the material by putting plastic on it or putting some other type of coating. I'm putting a breathable coating on it that is going to manage the moisture in the same way that the wall does.
What will you put on the inside?
Same thing. We're plastering.
So your walls will be similar to a Latham plaster wall?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So the Hempcrete really has a surface that plaster can grab onto. So it's like the perfect surface to do that. I'm learning from an expert plasterer right now to learn all of these techniques and be able to apply them. And one of them that he's teaching me is to do Tattalact, which is like a waterproof type of lime that gets polished. It was originally developed in Morocco. So they use it in bathhouses and stuff. So my showers are going to be like that. And we actually did the lath work and, you know, learning the process of all the layers that go on top of that.
My goodness, this is a whole thing.
Oh, it's a whole thing.
It's
like
a whole
every
thing.
step of the way, which is what I think is pretty cool, that when you're building your own home, you have the opportunity to make all of these choices. For me, I'm someone who cares a lot about what goes into my body and what's around me. You know, why would I have the opportunity to build something healthy, right? Why would I build my house out of carcinogenic materials?
Okay, so you asked, why wouldn't somebody, if they had the opportunity to build their own house, why wouldn't they take these steps? Like, I can think of reasons, like having to mix your own hempcrete, but of course you said there's, you know, pre-made things. What about the cost? Can you tell me how this compares to traditional building materials?
When all is said and done, this home is not going to cost us any more than having built a home to code, right? If we were using plastics and polystyrenes and all of these things. The materials, so if I explain to you how the way we're building it, we're just plastering, right? We're not putting on additional cladding. And so there's many layers that we're avoiding having to pay for as far as material goes. So we're saving there, where we're spending more on labor because it's very labor intensive. There's kind of give and take there. My husband and I are both hands-on people. My dad taught me at a really young age. Reshingled my first roof. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old. And my husband's been in construction for 30 plus years, building houses, staircases, furniture. He's a master carpenter. So being that we can do these things ourselves helps us save that money. And a lot of natural builders, that's where they're coming from. They're DIYers. And, you know, they want to do something for themselves. So we save in that sense. It's cheaper for me to go out and do the labor myself than it is to hire someone to do it, right?
But if I was going to do a side-by-side cost comparison of hempcrete versus concrete, for example, what's the price difference?
That's a good question. I would say that it really does balance itself out. And again, because we're saving on eliminating certain other products that we don't have to use, that's where the real savings come in. So if you were to build a hempcrete house, and you can hire someone to do it for you, if you're not a DIYer, there are hempcrete builders out there. We originally consulted with one who still is great and answers our questions. He's been building in hempcrete for 23 years. You can have someone like that has the skill set to come in and build your house. Again, they're going to be laboring for a lot longer to get everything put together. So you're going to spend more on that, but you're saving on the cost of the materials. So usually a house is calculated per square foot of living space. You're going to end up with the same number building a hempcrete home. So for us, that was worthwhile. And also considering the fact that we're doing things like the addition of solar power, the initial costs of the batteries and the panels and the equipment that goes along with that. But in the long run, you're paying, and you're actually going to be paying less because your heating bills are going to drop if you're not going solar because you've got such great insulation, right? Your maintenance cost is going to drop down. That's something that we really put a lot of thought into because we're getting older and you have to maintain a house, right? And maintaining a house as you get older becomes kind of more and more difficult, right? Like you lose your strength, you lose your abilities to do things. Our house should be fairly maintenance free. We made decisions like the quality of the windows that we're installing to be aluminum clad on the outside so that we don't have to worry about repainting every few years. All of these little decisions that you make along the way make a huge difference in the cost and the longevity, the sustainability of your building.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the long term, we're going to save because we're not going to have to put out again to deal with mold or moisture issues or replace things because they're molding or deteriorating or because bugs have gotten in. The other really neat thing about hempcrete is it is 100% fireproof. It's an added bonus. I think on this sample we did, can you see the burn mark?
Yeah.
So we held a torch to that, and you can YouTube it. We held a torch to that for, I don't know how long, like 45 minutes or something. And there's just like, it's blackened, it's charred for sure, but it won't combust. You know, it won't actually burn and it won't, and you can put your hand on the other side of it when you have the torch here and not feel even a sense of warmth there. So imagine that warmth being the warmth on the inside of your house. And your hand is the outside of the house, that warmth, you know. So in the summertime, it's going to be nice and cool. In the wintertime, it's going to be nice and warm.
This is so cool. All right. Besides all the research and figuring it out on your own and talking to experts and probably trying and failing, have you had to overcome any major hurdles to get this hemp home off the ground?
One of the biggest hurdles for any natural builder is getting your permits, right? Getting your municipality to say, oh, okay, you're building a straw bale house, or you're building a rammed earth house, or an adobe house, or a hempcrete house. Like, it doesn't say anything about that in the code. These materials are just not listed. So that can be a hurdle for people. We were really lucky because our town inspector is getting married to a girl that we know very well, and she's super keen on hempcrete. So she was like, no, you have to say yes, because I want to build our house out of hempcrete. And our municipality also really, really tries to protect the environment and encourage projects that do take the environment into consideration. So their only thing was that they want to see it once it's built, which is pretty cool. But that's a hurdle. So making sure that you're working with an engineer or an architect that understands the material that you're working with. That was a difficult hurdle, to find someone to do our drawings for us. We designed our house ourselves. We did all of our structural drawings and everything ourselves, but you need that stamp of approval. So that was a bit of a hurdle. Talking to other natural builders is going to help you get past those hurdles. Right? Find someone in your area that's built a straw bale house or a hempcrete house or whatever it might be. They'll be able to send you to someone who is going to be able to help you out. The other challenge is, strangely, and this one drives me nuts, is the hemp herd. Just getting it. Here in Canada, we have like the biggest cannabis industry in the world, I would say. What happens to all their stalks? They end up in landfill, right? Or in compost. They're not being used. We do have hemp farmers, but they're having a difficult time coming together in order to meet the supply demand. So that can be a challenge. Most people that are building out of Hempcrete right now are actually bringing their hemp herd in from Europe because they've been doing it in Europe for so much longer than we have. And they have good quality product. Builders know that they can trust it. We built our garage with herd that came from Europe last year. This year, we are going to be using Canadian hemp herd. So I'm trying to work with different farmers across the country, bring people together, get suppliers to start talking to one another. My next step is I want to start hitting the licensed producers up and saying, hey, can we put some sort of a recycling program into place and use your fiber and use your herd instead of it just ending up in compost? And another challenge can be getting your insurance when all things are said and done. Insurance companies don't like new materials or materials that they don't know about. But in order to overcome those challenges, there's a lot of data out there. Hempcrete has been tested, so you can show them the fireproof, results of the tests that have been done and the strength of the product and the longevity of it and all of these things in order to win them over. We haven't crossed that bridge yet, so I don't know if it's going to be a challenge for us, but we're sort of anticipating it.
That is a lot of challenges.
Yeah. Oh, and finding people to work. There's a big challenge, right? Finding a crew is challenging, especially as auto construct builders, right? We're building ourselves. We're contracting everything out. So we're kind of at the bottom of the pile, right? Getting our materials delivered on time and things like that have been definitely a big challenge, but it's coming along. We're a couple of years behind schedule, I think, at this point because of all the challenges, but I'm loving every minute of it. All the physical labor and everything and learning all the new techniques is just a really great experience.
Can you share with us some resources that you gained along the way? We'll link to them all down below for other people who are planning on taking this path.
There are some really great books. There's the Hempcrete book, Designing and Building with Hemp Lime by William Stanwix and Alex Sparrow. Fantastic book. It covers everything, to the materials that you need, to how to set your site up, your PPE that you need because you're working with lime, how to plaster, how to manage your windows, your doors. Every little thing that you could possibly think of is included in this book. The other book that I really liked is the Sustainable Building Essentials. So they have a whole series of books, and it's called Essential Hempcrete Construction, the Complete Step-by-Step Guide by Chris Magwood. Chris Magwood is in Ontario. And we also took a Hempcrete building course through him and the Endeavor Center. We did ours online, but they do offer in-person courses where you get that hands-on experience. But the online course was fantastic, and it follows exactly the book. So the book has recipes and resources. It's a great one to have on hand. I'm always like, what was that again? And, flip back.
I just think it's funny that you have a recipe book for building your house.
Yeah.
Preheat the oven.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what it comes down to, right?
This has been so great to just hear more about it and learn more about it. Again, you've blown my mind on several occasions. So I really appreciate it. Can people reach out to you if they have more questions?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach out to me, through Education, if education.info, or reach out to me at shawnalynndunbar@gmail.com. We're also super receptive to having people come learn on site with us. So any natural builders out there that want to learn more about hempcrete, plastering, all of these types of techniques, we're happy to have people come out. We do appreciate a commitment of a few days though, because teaching you takes time and we have to get our house built this summer. So if you want to commit a few days and come out and learn and experience that, we're open. So you can just reach out for sure.
That's awesome. That's so fun. You want to go help Shawnaa build her hemp house? Like you can. That's so awesome. All right. Thanks again for this. Make sure that you hit subscribe and like and do all of the things that help the YouTube algorithms. Share this video with more people who need to learn about like recipes for building houses. So, all right. And I will see you all next time. Bye.
Thanks, Ed.